Welcome to the FDA Good Laboratory Practice Update. Today we would like to focus on the proposed changes to the United States Food and Drug Administration 21 CFR Part 58 Good Laboratory Practices. This presentation will define good laboratory practice and explain why it's important. It will also touch on the regulations as well as outline the proposed changes in the requirements and how these requirements will be implemented. As you may know, the GLP regulations address the minimum basic requirement. The regulation applies to all non-clinical laboratory studies supporting research and marketing of FDA-regulated products. The GLP proposed rule will address a few areas of the regulation which will make it easier for multi-site studies to reach and maintain compliance, uses a complete quality system approach to support non-clinical laboratory studies. Although, the new rule stops short of requiring a fully functioning QMS. The FDA plans to reword current regulations to incorporate domestic and international OECD guidelines and modernize the regulations to further FDA's efforts of 3 R's in animal testing, which are to reduce, refine, and replace animal use. The proposed changes also include an expansion to toxicity studies, tobacco products, and devices, including veterinary. There's also been a change to the application submissions to not just cover research or marketing, and also the inclusion of certain animal rule studies in the scope. For those of you that may not be aware, the animal rule involves trials that are performed in animals in place of humans when it is unfeasible or unethical to perform them in humans in order to verify the efficacy of the product. Numerous definitions have been added as well that cover a host of areas. Sponsor responsibilities have been further addressed to involve accredited and qualified persons, spells out humane care of animals, and specifies that each protocol needs to be reviewed, approved, signed, and dated. The proposed changes also address sponsor responsibilities for test, control, and reference articles. Sponsors need to document and provide characterization information to study director as soon as possible. Also, the study director needs to be informed of any known potential risks of the test article. Communication is key, and the sponsor must now show that appropriate lines of communication have been established, and they must document those communications. They also have responsibilities related to the statement of compliance. The final study report and amendments to the final report must include a statement of compliance or non-compliance. The FDA clarifies their inspection authority to include any person that conducts a phase of a non-clinical laboratory study. And the update expands the realm of regulatory responsibility to include contractors and subcontractors. Test facility management retains ultimate responsibility for the GLP quality system and must establish policy and objectives for a GLP quality system and a commitment to quality as defined in Part 58.3. The proposed update specifies that all individuals involved in the study need to be trained and need to follow established SOPs. It also addresses multi-site studies, defines management representatives, and timely reviews of the GLP quality system. The Quality Assurance Unit is also given new responsibilities and required SOPs. It also states that the individual maintaining the master schedule does not have to be a member of the QAU. The proposed changes maintain that the study director represents the single point of study control and has overall responsibility, which cannot be delegated. And it also goes into detail regarding the implementation of procedures to ensure adequate communication and also document communications between all persons conducting a phase of the non-clinical study and with the sponsor. New requirements require you to determine and document the need for a principal investigator for multi-site studies. You must also document the qualifications of any person conducting a phase of the non-clinical study. During the review of the proposed study protocol, sites must consult with an attending veterinarian and defer to that person concerning any questions of animal welfare. The timelines have been clarified. 2 weeks after the study completion of all raw data, documentation, protocols, specimens, reserve samples, and final reports need to be archived. There will be different rules for studies conducted entirely at the testing facility versus multi-site studies. For studies conducted entirely at the testing facility, the QAU may be an employee of the facility or a contractor. This differs from multi-site studies. In this case, a lead QA must be designated by the testing facility management with executive responsibility. This person must provide QA oversight for the study from start to finish. Further requirements are defined in 58.35. QAU inspections have now been more clearly defined as study-based inspections, facility-based inspections, and process-based inspections. If a process-based inspection is performed and reveals a problem, a written certification must be provided. Contributing scientists shall comply with Part 58, provide a signed and dated report of all phases to include in the final study report, and they will permit oversight by the designated QAU. Independent contributing scientists must complete archiving. They must provide evidence of their education, training, and experience, and they must date and sign the study protocol to indicate agreement to comply with the protocol requirements. The proposed responsibilities of a PI include verifying the study was conducted according to Part 58 and to report deviations to the study director. The study director can now delegate some responsibilities for phases of a non-clinical laboratory study to a PI, but they cannot delegate responsibility for an entire study. As it relates to the test, control, and reference article characterization, analyses must be performed by the sponsor or a contracted person either prior to the study initiation or concurrently according to written SOPs. Results must be provided to the study director as soon as feasible. One big change has been deferring to the attending veterinarian on animal welfare decisions and consulting the attending veterinarian regarding the impact of the protocol on the welfare of the test subject animals. The analytical methods used must show accuracy, be sufficiently precise, and sensitive enough to result in accurate and reproducible data. Alcoa requirements have also been added to the proposed rule. The data quality has specified that any change made to data must be made so as not to obscure the original entry, indicate a reason for the change, when the change was made, and who made the change. The use of electronic record system must now fully be compliant with applicable regulations, and all data acquired as required in this section must be included in the final report. As it relates to reporting, there is a new requirement related to discontinuing studies, in that the study director shall provide a written summary report discussing why the study was discontinued, and it will include their signature and date. The study director will provide with the final study report a statement regarding the compliance with Part 58, including any study deviations, and the final report shall include a signed and dated report from each person conducting an analysis or evaluation. As it relates to storage and archival, all study materials must be archived within 2 weeks. Also, SOPs regarding archiving must include specific procedures for the removal of study materials, as well as the maximum time frames that materials can be moved outside of archive. The FDA rules must be adhered to, otherwise the FDA may disqualify any person conducting a phase of a non-clinical laboratory study. In summary, the proposed changes are moving towards a complete quality system approach. Management responsibilities have been added, as well as additional SOPs and current practices for multi-site testing facilities. The overall approach is to improve data quality and reliability in non-clinical laboratory studies. At this time, there is no indication of when the proposed changes will be implemented, but you can find additional information at the link listed. Your feedback is valuable for us to improve future training sessions. To receive a training certificate, please complete the survey at this link. Thank you very much.